On this episode of Fin Too Deep, me and Neal Driscoll, we will ask the question and we will try our best to answer the question. Is Sam Darnold's success a warning for the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa given their current situation? We're going to discuss that and so much more. Do me the favor, smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new, and as always, let's go ahead and let's get into this one.
You're listening to Fin Too Deep.
Tua back to throw, blitz coming, they get to him, no, he takes off running, and he's in, touchdown Miami!
With the sixth pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Jalen Waddle.
Giving you unfiltered, informed, and controversial takes on the Miami Dolphins and the NFL Draft. Here's Reason and Neal.
What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. We're back here for another one as we dive Fin Too Deep. It's that lull right before the combine hits, because then the combine hits, we get on that draft mode, then free agency and the tampering window hit, then we get back into draft mode. So we're in that lull right now. But the Super Bowl just ended, Neal, and we are now, like 369 days away from the next Super Bowl, because guess what? They decided to test 95% of the men in North America and schedule it for Valentine's Day next year, Neal. I already told my wife yesterday, hey, babe, here's the deal. So we're coming off. The Patriots lost. It was not pretty. Sam Darnold, I mean, he made some plays, but he didn't look overly impressive. Drake May had a Sam Darnold-like game in the sense of, like Sam Darnold Jets, in the sense of, Neal, that pressure got to him early. Will Campbell with one of the worst Jared Wilson's not getting enough flack either, Neal. Jared Wilson and Will Campbell with one of the worst left side performances, I think, since Mahomes' offensive line was hurt and he was on the third stringers against the Bucs, maybe. It was bad on that left side for Drake May. He ended up seeing ghosts. I thought he missed reads and he missed easy throws because he was just so shook by the pressure. What did you think of the Super Bowl, Neal?
Yeah, I think the notion that the Patriots are going to have another dynasty is definitely delayed, right? And, here in Baltimore, everyone's saying what could have been if we would have kept Mike Macdonald and fired Harbaugh a couple years earlier. Because I will say that I think he put on a coaching masterclass. He did. For the defensive side of the football. And not to say they don't have great talent, because they do, but that looked like the 2000 Baltimore Ravens defense out there. And he did a tremendous, it's funny, man, because we're in draft season. We're 74 days away from the draft now, right? And I remember there was a time when the Dolphins were rumored to get Byron Murphy, and they liked him. And I was like, I don't want him as a pick. You know what I mean? It just goes to show you that, a lot of us gravitate towards the shiny toys, the receivers, the corners. But this game, when it matters in January and February, it's all about winning in the trenches. And the Seattle was up front. I mean, Will Campbell looked awful. I mean, and I always thought Will Campbell was a guard. I remember when he was rumored that he could fall on the Dolphins. When they took him at 4, I know a lot of Patriots fans were like, we need to invest in the offensive line. Playing him at left tackle you're not maximizing what you have in Will Campbell. He is a guard. That is where he should be. Jared Wilson is a center. You need to shift that line down. But I think you nailed it. As bad as they were, Drake May was just as bad. And one of the signs that a quarterback can't handle pressure is when they throw the ball hot. They're throwing the ball at 95 miles per hour, and you're anticipating the pressure before it's even in your face. It was apparent to me early that Seattle was going to run away with the game.
Yeah, and they would have. Darnold had a couple big throws that he missed early on. Remember, was it Cooper Kupp or JSN who got behind and he overthrew him? And then remember that early on in the game, he got behind the coverage and he was open and he overthrew him. I don't know if you remember that throw, but he was gone for 6. It was JSN or Kupp, and then he had a one later in the game where was it Shaheed where he was gone and he didn't put enough on it, and didn't make the throw. Yeah, it was JSN. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and that's exactly so. Like what I saw really was that a team was super prepared, and honestly, Darnold didn't have to do much. He really didn't have to do
Just
much.
Don't turn over the ball.
Don't play smart. Be consistent, and honestly, at the end of the day, they ran away.
What a
with
performance
that
by
game.
Kenneth!
Yeah,
and God,
you talk about having that kind of game at the right time. Like there you go. He's about to probably cash in pretty significantly, and if you're Seattle, I think slapping the franchise tag. That's where we are, right? We're coming up on tag season.
Yeah, we are.
Like, George Pickens is going to get tagged. I will say one thing that I'm hearing pretty loud and clear here is that like Tyler Linderbaum is going to get an opportunity to test the open market. And
is Isaiah likely?
Yeah, I think likely definitely is. And keep an eye on.
So you got till March 3rd, right? February 17th to March 3rd is the window to use those franchise tags.
Right. So they have all the way to March 3rd. But I'd keep an eye on the Giants with Tyler Linderbaum. Just, who went there. Apparently, that coach thinks very favorably of that center. Baltimore typically doesn't let guys like Linderbaum get out the door, but they have a lot of free agents and they don't have a ton of cap space. And man, it is a brutal, brutal free agent group. I am like, woof.
Yeah, so not great.
If you're an agent, you got to get your players to go test the market. And if Linderbaum tests the market with all the money that's out there, I think he'll get a big payday. But yeah, man, it's going to be, we're here now. We're officially a couple weeks away from the new league year starting. Free agency is going to be here before we know it. And the Dolphins got a lot of housekeeping items to attack before we get to that point, because I think they're $23 million over the cap.
Yeah.
If the offseason started today.
Yeah. Man, that Super Bowl, and you know what's crazy about that Super Bowl too? It looked like Ramondre Stevenson had his legs early on, but just because they couldn't get the pass game going, it basically just eventually took him out of the game, and they never got in a rhythm with that offense. That was just like you said, that was a masterclass. They were by the end of the game, they were beating them easily with 4-man fronts, but early on they were taking a big factor to me why the Seahawks had their way with them was their ability to keep them in 3rd and long situations so they could send those nickel blitzes and really send those disguise blitzes that they just never adjusted to. Even coming out of half, they didn't really adjust to. They didn't really pick up. Now with Will Campbell, it's been quite the debate on X. Everyone's chimed in. Mitchell Schwartz, Teron Armstead. You've had all different opinions here. Oh, it's just because of his arms. Oh, it's because they had him in too many vertical sets, et cetera, et cetera. And from what I've seen, I agree with the people out there that are saying the problem was with a lot of it was coming with footwork and anchoring, right? And he was late with his punches. A lot of stuff for me was technique. It wasn't so much, physical deficiencies with Will Campbell. He was late with his hands. His footwork wasn't great. And this was just not, and he wasn't anchoring well. And a lot of that was stemming from his lower half, and the footwork wasn't great. And when your footwork isn't great and you can't anchor and you're going to be late, whether it's a punch or whatever the case is with the hands, and your placement is late, it's going to be a bad day for you. And it was a bad day.
And the speed of the Seattle defense caught them off of guard. And the blitzes they were sending. And at the end of the day, the reason the Seahawks won the Super Bowl is since 2022, there hasn't been a team in football that drafted better than them, right?
Yeah,
Back
I agree.
in 2022, they get Charles Cross, Boy Mafe, Kenneth Walker, Abraham Lucas, Kobe Bryant, Tariq Woolen.
Do you remember how big of an Abraham Lucas guy was? Do you remember?
Yeah,
that
Washington State.
Dude.
Heck yeah. Then they followed up in 2023 with Devin Witherspoon, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet, Anthony Bradford, who's their starting right guard. Right. Yeah. Then they come back and get Byron Murphy and AJ Barner in the 4th round, who is a young tight end that shows a lot of promise. Yeah. And then this year they get Gray Zabel, Nick Emanwari, Elijah Arohu. They still have Jalen Milroe, who they're grooming, Riley Mills, who had a sack in that game, Torrey Horton, who's been a special teams demon for them.
Didn't they draft Josh Jobe?
They drafted Josh Jobe a few years
and
back.
He had a couple big plays, right? And they drafted Drake Thomas too, right?
He was
good for them. Yeah.
They have put a master class.
The proper blend, dog. Yeah, they not only drafting, but look at the positions, how successful they've been at when they've dipped into their toes into free agency. Do we have to start with Sam Darnold?
Right.
But you know what I mean? But look at how successful they've been when they do dip their toes into free agent. And what's crazy is, like you said, now a couple of these guys are up. Now, isn't Tariq Woolen a free agent?
He's a free agent. Yep, he's a free agent for sure.
Yeah. He's probably going to get paid.
He's
a little
gone.
bit.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah.
They're not going to keep him. Kenneth Walker's a free agent. I mean, obviously,
when we're going over those draft picks, and that tells you how long I've been wanting to replace Austin Jackson. Eh? Do you remember me banging the table for Abraham Lucas back in 2022 and how good that guy is now, man? And I would have solved our Austin Jackson problem.
I do feel good that that Austin Jackson's going to be a post-June cut this year, though. I think he's gone.
Yeah, but dog, okay, that's fantastic. But now I need the replacement, dog. I need Francis Moe-Noah, and he ain't dropping to us.
Well, the good news is that now we have somebody who comes in our front office that has exposure to being around a team that drafts well on the offensive line, that has a prototype they go after. Like a lot of the Dolphins draft in woes have because they don't draft with intent. They rank players. I think they actually draft pretty good players. I don't think they think about how they're going to synergize with the rest of the team. So, like, you look at how Seattle drafts, man, they have a purpose. They're going to build the biggest, strongest defensive front that they can buy, that they can build, and have absolute versatility in the back end. You know what I mean? Like,
hey, they're going to draft Falili Famoe from Wake Forest and turn him to an absolute stud in the 5th round. Let's go, baby. But there's a couple guys I like. I like Monroe Freeling, but he's probably going to go in the 1st now too. I think Ian Hanker has made himself a lot of money because of the Senior Bowl.
He's raw though.
Yeah, but he's probably going to go in the top 75.
Oh,
I like Jennings Dunker. I think he's a mauler, but Jennings Dunker, I don't think enough people get caught up in the sideburns, and I like Jennings Dunker a lot, but people get caught up in the sideburns and he's a little stiff, especially for what we want to run. He's a little stiff and, slow-footed a little bit. He's great otherwise than that. I really like Bo Stevens, but that's a guard. The Iowa guys coming out. They won the Joe Moore Award this year, right?
The guy that I like a lot as an Austin Jackson replacement is Blake Miller from Clemson. Ton of starts on the right side. Yeah. NFL strength. He's not the most impressive athlete, but I like him. I actually like the kid from Boise State, Casey Moore, as a guard.
Yeah, I think he's a guard.
I think he could be a big. I still think that Austin Barber from Florida has potential to tackle. You got to coach him up, but look, it's a horrific tackle class in my opinion. Like,
you can get Austin Barber in the first 125 picks though. So
I think Malagoa and Fanu are probably going to go earlier, like Daniel Jeremiah said. Dunker to me is more regard. A guy who I think is going to be a really good offensive line.
Caleb Loma.
I like Caden Proctor if you kick him inside. I think Proctor.
Yeah, if you kick him inside, and we were talking to him, weren't we?
I like him as a guard, but I'll be honest, man, that tackle class,
not that good, bro.
It's not that good. The guard class, like, obviously, you got Ione from Penn State, who is a stud. Pregnon from Oregon, but man, it's
honestly. Can I be real with you? If you are getting Moe-Noah or Fano, I mean, I guess you could convince me on Caleb Loma, but you got to trade back. If you're not getting Moe-Noah, I mean, you might as well just go get, Vega Ione and kick him to left guard and then move what's his face back
to the right,
Jonah back to the right, and then figure out the tackle. That's the problem. Like, man, we got to hit on this tackle because. And, I like Blake. Here's the thing. I like Blake Miller. I like Jennings Dunker. I like Max Ihanaquire. But, listen, I joked around about it, but I actually like Falili Famoe. But am I like, oh, my God, I need to have them? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, dude, next year's offensive line class is really strong, which is another thing you keep looking at, with Sexton and Knapp from Notre Dame. I mean, it's loaded. You got Gooseby from Texas, but
you like Freeland? Do you like Freeland or no? Do you like Freeland or no?
I like Monroe Freeland. All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not.
I mean, he played right tackle. I know. You'd hope he falls to you in the second or something like that.
I think there's an end of the round with the Browns there, the Texans there at the end of the round, where a lot of offensive line, and 49ers, I think, are another team. Like, there's going to be a pretty big run on linemen there.
I think Dunker and Miller might be there for you. Well, Maxie Hanaquire will probably be there too. I think those three will probably be there. Caleb Tiernan will probably be there too, the Northwestern kid.
Yeah,
so there'll be options.
Yeah, there'll be some options there. I'll be honest. I think we're such a bad roster that you take the best player at 11, and you take the best player at 43, and you fill out your needs later. I mean, they're going to leave this draft with needs no matter what happens. I don't think you worry about a quarterback on day 1 or day 2. I think you just try to come away with the 5 best players you have, and maybe you get another pick if you do shop Minka. But for me, it's Halfley's team. We just saw a defense lead their team to a Super Bowl.
I think we're actually going to have a lot of defensive picks, bro. I actually think that's where I think they're going. You want my honest opinion? I think they're going corner or edge at 11. If you want my real honest opinion.
And that's so you look at the positions, right? Because I do think they'll be very intrigued if Caleb Downs is there. I definitely think they'll have interest. I think they're going to have interest in Sonny Styles. But at the end of the day, the edge group is going to go quicker, right? Because there's a lot of teams that have needs. Like, if Ruben Bain was there, I would totally run to the podium for him.
David.
Yeah, I don't even have Arvell Reese in my top 10 players. I'm probably one of the few that don't. I don't like.
Thank God we pick 11.
Yeah, I think he's positionless in the league. But I think someone's going to take him. I actually think he could go as high as Jackson too. But the debate for me is, I think the biggest need on our team is corner, right? Like, Jack Jones and Rosaud Douglas are both free agents, and they're both believe it or not.
So is Kohu, isn't he?
Yeah, Russell Douglas is probably a top 5 free agent corner. Jack Jones is probably a top 12 free agent corner, and Kohu coming off an injury. Like, you have nothing there. So you have. I think if you took health, this is Madden. You turn the ratings off. Jermon McCoy is the best corner in this draft, and I think he's my number 2 player. So I'd have Downs at 1. I currently have Jeremiah Love, the running back, but I'd probably, if you turned health off, have McCoy be the number 2 overall player in this entire draft. I think he's that good.
McCoy's a dude,
I think he's a top 5 corner in football.
No.
If he can stay healthy, he had Patrick Peterson tape 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I think the injury is being overblown. Okay. So it's been 13 months since the ACL injury, right? He is more than ready to go. Apparently he was ready to go if they went on a deep playoff run. If they made the playoffs and went on a run, word was out that Jermon McCoy was going to be back. But they didn't.
I don't trust our doctors, that's for sure. But
we're changing that. They've added Packers guys now, right? Like, I think that's getting changed over a little bit now. And listen, here's the thing. Okay. And I'm not saying either are this. I'm just putting this in a hypothetical. Because I see a lot of, we have, PTSD in so many different facets, whether it's quarterback, we got post Tannehill syndrome disorder, right? But we got all these different things. And it's 2 things I could tell you Dolphin fans never want to do again in the draft. They never want to draft a guy with an injury history, and they never want to draft a quarterback from Alabama. I'm not saying this is going to happen next year, because it's not on the radar, at least, unless someone emerges out of nowhere. Alabama comes out next year with a quarterback that just ripped. Let's say, I don't know who it's not going to happen, but I'm just hypothetical. They come out with a quarterback who sets every single SEC record, every single season collegiate record at the position. We get the number 1 overall pick. There will still be Dolphin fans that will say, I don't want him. He's from Alabama. And I'll say that now with Jermon McCoy. Have we drafted guys with injury histories and it hasn't worked out? 110%. But scared money don't make no money. Jermon McCoy, I tweeted this out last month, and I think even Bobby Shouse retweeted this. Jermon McCoy, when you look at the 2024 tape, that is potential top 5 corner in the NFL elite level tape. You do not joke around with that. And here's my thing. Other than the ACL, where's McCoy's injury history at?
Yeah. Just to play devil's advocate, though, it is the first pick of a new regime that's coming off the biggest collapse probably any other regime has ever had. And if you don't get that pick right, it's not a good way to start. But I get it. Like, you got to take a chance. And
yeah, but look at what you even said. Look what you even said. And if they said that same thing to me and you as draft guys would go, hey, I get it. Look what you said. You said he's the second best player in the draft if you go off that 2024 film, potentially.
Maybe
okay?
better. No, maybe number one player in the draft.
Okay,
if you're going off that film,
if they draft him, Neal, and by the time April rolls around, right? So what is he going to be, about 14, 15 months removed from the injury? They're going to look at us and they're going to say, 14, 15 months removed from the injury, we think he is the first or second best player in this draft. Me and you, who have watched the 2024 film, you know what me and you are going to do? We're going to do the old Ben Stiller from Dodgeball. We're going to go, touche. Because what are you going to say? The film is that good. You know, like, his injury history isn't as troublesome as Will Johnson.
No. I don't
you know, like, we were all, look at us. All of us at the combine last year, which is coming up in, 11 days. Remember, Neal, we were like, all of us at the medicals with Will. What can we find out? What can we see? None of us are like that with McCoy.
And God, I wish I would have taken him over Jonah 7A in the second round. Now that we know what it's like now, right?
Yeah. So
no, but
I
agree. I agree. No, I think.
Now I will say this: if McCoy's on the board, Mansour Delaney's on the board, Caleb Downs is on the board, but so is Ty. Exactly hold on, but if Ty Simpson's on the board and bring, hey, we want to jump up in front of the LA Rams. I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry. I'm pressing the green button. I'm passing on all three of the guys, and I want more spots.
Yeah, for sure.
To get in front of the Rams. So it could be a team like.
Okay.
There was where are the Steelers at?
21.
Okay. There was another team I was looking at. Who was it? It was Minnesota.
11, you want another one next year, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So I can go get my quarterback next year.
I would do that all day long, and then Big Ione. I would do that all day.
Because another thing, a rumor I've heard, Neal. Okay. Here's some draft intel for everyone watching right now. A rumor I've heard is the Jets are considering
Ty Simpson
at 16. Now, what if you get him on the phone and you say, listen, you got all that capital. You want Ty Simpson? Who do you think the Rams are about to take? Right? Who do you think the Rams are? Now, there's not going to be a tackle. Are they going to take Fano or are they going to take Ty Simpson? They're probably going to take Ty Simpson.
I want Ty Simpson to go to the Jets more than anything, to be honest.
That is where I am at. I would, because listen, even if I get the Jets' top second round pick, just to move back 6 spots, and then like a 5th on top of that, so I get 16, their top second pick from next year. That's still more ammo, because don't we have like 2 or 3 third round picks next year as well?
I don't.
That's more
ammo. I don't
ammo
know next year, but like, look, if you could do anything to get in one. I just started. Yesterday I put a top 100 players in the 2027 draft out, and my 40th player is probably equivalent to the 15th player in this draft. Like, next year's class is like an A grade. This is like a C- grade draft, in my opinion. Like, I think where the Dolphins are, of course you can do that move. And like we've highlighted here, they don't have one need. Like, I'm all about taking the best player available, but you cannot ignore potential to acquire draft capital for the future. When, like, let's talk this year for the Miami Dolphins, whether we like it or not, is a reset away from Tua Tagovailoa's contract. It is. Like, if
we happen to win, great, And
if we trade it, if Stephen Ross ponies up money to get a trade to get us cap relief this year, go build the bronze statue of the man, because I don't care if you give a 7th round pick and Tua just to get a later 7th to free up $11 million in cap space. But whatever they have to do, they should explore doing so. But like, and it's not just the Tua contract. It's going to be getting out of the Tyree contract. It's going to be getting out of Austin Jackson's contract.
Do you think they get out of Chubb?
They got to get out of Chubb. They got to get out of Minka. Like, a lot of people don't want to hear it. But where they are in the cap, where they are, the smart move is to flip Minka for a 3rd round pick and have a 4th third round pick. And
that's going to suck, man.
It is, but man,
that's the only guy I care about. All the ones you named, I want Minka back here, especially with how depleted our secondary is.
If you do, the smart move is extending them because then you save 11 million
cap relief
instead of eating it. So like I think like you can look to do it. I hate to say it, where they are, I'd explore trading Zach Sealer because again.
Well, we were talking about this last year during the season,
right? Yeah, like you can't like, but at pick 11, if Jermod McCoy is the pick and they pass the medicals, I mean, dude, that's a fucking home run. And then Mansour Delaney, like, look, he's a total different player, but his teach tape this year was amazing. His corner tape this year is better than any other corner in college football this year. He's great at what he does. Like Caleb Downs is a Kyle Hamilton.
I'm fine with either one of those guys. I'm fine with either one of those guys.
Sonny Styles, Daniel Jeremiah said
Adam
this
too.
After I said this, but there's a lot of Fred Warner to Sonny Styles' game. I freaking love what he brings to the table. Malagoa is a guy that I love. And look, if the move is to trade back, we've said this before. Like, if you trade back, get another first, another second, and you get Vega Ione from Penn State, and you put him in at left guard with Patrick Paul, you giving yourself a young elite left side of the line for a long time with Brewer at center. Yeah. And then look, your right side's a mess. But
you can get a veteran, try and get a veteran right tackle and just stick him next to Jonah.
And we do have James Daniels under contract still, right? Like, I'm not expecting much out of him, but you don't get any cap relief.
Do you think they're going to move off him? No.
I mean, here's my question. Why? Because you don't get any cap relief. You say $400,000. Like, James Daniels is a bona fide NFL starter if he's healthy. I actually think having him this year could have improved a lot, even though some of the guys that stepped up did a good job. They got to be we can't fall in love with players. We got to understand where the Dolphins are, and what they need more than any one player at 11 is future draft picks. 2027 is going to be the year to strike on the quarterbacks. If you want to make sure that you're in potential to get one of the top guys, having 2 first-round picks makes you way more dangerous because you could parlay those together with a 2028 first. And man, I'd I hear this notion because some people just watched 1 week of football against Ohio State. Arch Manning was not good against Ohio State, but he was every bit as good as Fernando Mendoza was against Ohio State, right? The reality of it is just it's recency bias. Arch Manning's traits. Arch Manning is going to be a step above a Drake May and probably a step above a Josh Allen, in my opinion. The pedigree, the traits, like that guy's a franchise changer. No player in college football grew more than Arch Manning from week 1 to the end of the season. With that lineup that he has with, Hollywood Smothers is his back, with Cam Coleman and Ryan Wingo at the guard.
He's talking smack, bro.
Dude, I hear all these people saying that Arch Manning's only good because of his last name. And I'm like, bro.
Okay, listen. I tell people this, okay? You know where I stood with him last year heading into this season. He wasn't ready. When you watch the film, when you watched Isaiah Bond or Matthew Golden, he was missing throws. He wasn't ready. You saw it. You actually saw that for the first 6 weeks, 7 weeks of this year.
Right.
If you watch, I've told people this multiple times, and this is coming from a guy who was telling y'all, I've objectively told y'all where Arch Manning is at the whole time he's been in college. If you watch him from Mississippi State at the end of October to that Michigan game at the end of December, right, in that Citrus Bowl game, you saw what the hype was. All right?
For sure.
That 60-yard touchdown running in Michigan, like, did anyone actually watch that bowl game? Because here's the thing. I'm going to tell you this right now, everyone. That performance was better than arguably any performance Fernando Mendoza had in the playoffs, his bowl game against Michigan. And Michigan was 18th overall. That man threw for 221 yards. He threw for 2 touchdowns. He ran for $155, 2 touchdowns, including a game-sealing 60-yard touchdown run. Arch Manning, if you were watching him and every snap, you saw the step happen this year and it happened right around the Kentucky-Mississippi State. It happened right around there. The step happened. And that guy is the number 1 pick of next year's draft. If he keeps playing like how he did in late October until December, and he plays like that a full season, he is going to be the unquestioned, hear me now, he is going to be the unquestioned number 1 overall draft, and he's going to be the highest touted prospect since
Keep going, because I agree.
Peyton. It's going to be.
I was going to say ready for this one, but I'm with you.
Get it ready. So was I, but I said Peyton. You know why? He's going to be higher touted than Peyton, and probably Andrew Luck, because he's what, third generation Manning. Like, right. This is like Eli. People forget the hype Eli had coming out and the hype Peyton had coming out. They were Andrew Luck before there was Andrew Luck. All right. Arch, if he plays that way, he's played since October all year next year, it's going to be higher than Peyton, Eli, and Andrew Luck. It is going to be next level stuff. Y'all thought Burrow was something coming out in 2020? Wait, y'all thought Trevor Lawrence was something? Wait until the hype with Arch Manning if he continues to play that way, because guess what? He showed what the hype was about. If you put the film on from October on, and in that bowl game, in a championship game, when you have to be the best, when you're on the big stage, when the lights are the brightest, Arch put on his best performance of the year, arguably, aside from what? Maybe the Arkansas game or the Vanderbilt game? That was his best game?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, he made 2 throws against Ohio State that I still haven't seen another quarterback hit in college football this year, even though that wasn't his best game. And I'll be honest, like, I'm with you. The thing that the name Manning tells me is that this kid is going to have every resource at his disposal to be better than what generations were before.
Now you got Cam Coleman from Auburn.
Ryan Wingo. They have Hollywood Smothers. They have 2 first-round tackles. He's going to have a line
Neil,
this year.
Everyone's on Malachi Toney and Jeremiah Smith. Y'all going to learn about the Cam Coleman show with Arch this year now that he got a quarterback. Get ready.
I mean, look, I'm with you. Like, I like Peyton, yeah, like that 98's a long time ago, but I think he is definitely hands down the best since Luck in 2012. And like, he's a franchise changer. He's a guy, we've talked on the show how you wouldn't trade Achane. I don't want to trade Waddle, but I would trade both of those guys.
You have to get the first pick.
To get Arch Manning.
No. You know what the thing is? Okay, go ahead, Neil. Make your point.
No, I was just saying, he's
you
worth
click the light for me.
He's worth the worst season in Dolphins franchise history to get.
You clicked the light for me, Neil. That's why you had the hamster on the wheel going for me with what you were just saying. Neil, are we on to something right now? Is Arch Manning, because I don't know if people have heard this, and you're going to need the number 1 pick, because Jason's right here. You will not be a Dolphin unless you have the number 1 pick.
100%.
Neil, is Arch Manning, I don't know if all of you have heard this in the chat, but Adam Schefter, was it Schefter or Rappaport? I think it was Schefter, reported that there will be at least one NFL team pushing for you to go from being able to trade draft picks 3 years down the line
to the 5 years. Yeah.
Line. Is Arch Manning the reason why?
I mean, dude, look, he plays in a crowd right in front of the Texas crowd that, there's not an NFL crowd on the planet that's going to match a college game day at Texas. Right. They might not be worth as much as NFL franchises, but they're a $2.2 billion football program at Texas. Like, this guy's playing in the biggest situation you can in college football, whether it's the most successful team or not. Like, they're going to go into next season being heavy favorites to be a national contender. If he takes that next step and delivers, this guy is going to be not only a Heisman candidate, not only a lock for the number 1 overall pick, but like, he's the whole reason why I want the Dolphins to tear everything down, if I'm being blunt. Like, the reason I want them to get rid of Minka is because I love Minka as a player, but I know Minka gives us chances to win football games, right?
To what Jason Keck said, dog, unless you don't get that first overall pick, you do. And this roster has too much talent on it right now. Like,
so. See,
like this could be Tennessee. This could be Tennessee's chance. Like Tennessee looks like they're going to be in the driver's seat to figure out whether Cam Ward's the guy or just go get Arch.
Yeah, maybe. And I think the Jets and Cardinals are there. But see, I am one of those people. I think the Dolphins are one of the worst 5 teams in football right now. Like, I definitely think that. I love Achane. I love Waddle. I think their offensive line, considering that Austin Jackson's done, Jonas Savaneo is one of the worst guards in football. We don't know what they're doing at the other position.
But then we have one of the best centers in football and one of the best young left tackles in football.
We do, but that's 2 of the 5. And as good as they were this year, like, our offensive line still was an issue. Like,
yeah, now we got a new regime whose offense comes from a place that knows how to build the offensive line. The problem is that they could fill at least 2 of those 3 spots, and you could make way with a 1-week link for 1 season if you have.
Yeah, to. but they got to have cap space and draft resources to do that, right? And like, how many how many players are we seeing as a true rookie that's not, a guy drafted in day 1 or day 2 coming to the NFL and starting? Like, I think the Dolphins, like, if you get rid of a Chubb, you get rid of a Minka, like, you do have Jordan Brooks on defense, but you definitely have the worst cornerback room in football, the worst safety room in football. And, dude, if Chop Robinson doesn't take that next step next year, you might have one of the worst edge. And
secondaries
our D-line's going to be good and young, and with Sealer, Grant, Biggers, and Jordan Phillips, it's probably going to be the most fun thing to watch about the Dolphins next year. They're going to have to cut role players like Jason Sanders and Alec Ingold. So, like, they're going to be a team. So, like, the way I see it, like, don't even think about going to get Malik Willis. Let Quinn Ewers be your starter. Draft a project in the 6th round, 7th round, whatever that looks like. I mean, for all intents and purposes, you're not going to intentionally lose football games, but you design your roster so that you don't win a lot of football games. And I think that's what a lot of people, the only problem that happens with all that reason is this. If you do that, does Jeff Hafley become Aaron Glenn, right? Does Jeff Hafley become a guy that the fan base hates and wants out under no circumstance? But, like, I mean, dude, Arch is the guy, and you're right. Like, if you don't get the number 1 overall pick, and that's why, like, I'd love for the Jets and Cardinals somehow to luck into quarterbacks this year. But even if they got, say, Ty Simpson, if they're back up top again, they're going to let Ty Simpson go for Arch Manning. Like, this is like the Willy Wonka golden ticket. You need to have that golden ticket to get a shot at getting an Arch Manning. But I do think he's every bit of the hype. I think he's generational, all those overrated terms that we use. I think Arch Manning is franchise changing, and damn, I would be disgusted if he's a Jet.
I think there could be multiple guys in this draft that are franchise altering. I think CJ Carr, if he declares, has that ability. I think Dante Moore is going to be that guy with another year under his belt. I mean, good God, if we all don't expect it because he's going back to South Carolina, but if Lenore Sellers takes a developmental step as a passer, look the hell out. I mean, there's a bunch of guys in this class. I mean, Brandon Sorsby, what is Darian Mensah going to be? Jordan Maiava with another year of Lincoln Riley.
I think Sorsby, of everyone you name, has a chance to rise.
Mensah too in Miami. He could light it up. That could be the guy threw almost 40 touchdowns at Duke, dog. Now he's got way more weapons and a better offensive line. I mean, there could be, and then who's to say, what if Josh Hoover gives you some kind of replication of what Mendoza did from transferring from Cal to Indiana? It's just Hoover came from TCU. I mean, Hoover's a good quarterback. He's not a bum.
We got other guys too.
And Levitt's my guy, right? Like Levitt is my guy. I wanted him like this. I thought he was going to be part of this draft, and I wanted him out of Arizona State. Now, 1 year under Lane Kiffin and at a big program like LSU, like, I think Sam Levitt's going to blow Garrett Nussmeier's tenure at LSU out of the water. You know what I mean?
See about Julian saying Lagways and Baylor now. Like,
the other point we're making too here, Neil, is if you miss out on Arch, there's a lot of darts and high quality darts potentially in this draft that could still hit the bullseye on the board. Like, CJ Carr is a pretty big Heisman favorite right now, with Notre Dame. Good. So, Dante Moore is going to be a big Heisman favorite. John Mateer, you mentioned him. What if he doesn't get injured this past year? Because he was never the same when he came back from that injury. He rushed it clearly, right?
Yeah, he looked rough.
What if he fixes a bit of his footwork and his mechanical issues and he's fully healthy? We saw what Mateer could be, a fun player to watch that we hope can translate to the NFL. You know what I mean? So,
all great, but I will say I still, with all that, and I agree, because I think it's an awesome quarterback class.
Arch is number one.
Arch to me is a leap and a bound above every one of them. But not to say like that. I don't think it's Arch or nothing. Obviously most franchises that don't have a lot of promise are on the march for Arch right now. It's going to, it's good. Everything has to fall wrong for that to happen. And it's hard as Dolphin fans. Like, I remember in 2020, before Matt Moore went on that run, like, my first mock draft, I had the Dolphins picking number 1 to get Andrew Luck. And then they strung, those wins with Matt Moore every single time. It looks like the Dolphins are like, it looked like that this year. It looked like they were going to fall apart.
Yeah, but even when we have the pick,
we get Jake Long
instead of Matt Ryan. Oh my God! I know
I
he was the wrong pick, I know he was the wrong pick when you look back on it because Ted Ginn had the longer career. But how do you not go? How do you not go Brady Quinn?
And
Like,
Matt
what are we
Ryan,
saying here?
Matt Ryan, without a shadow of a doubt, like I like. Look, it was before my time, so I don't want to make anyone who's an older Dolphins fan. I think Bob Greasy gets a lot of success because of the success of the Shula teams. I think if Matt Ryan was the pick and he had the career he had in Atlanta here, he's the second best quarterback in your franchise history.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? And Jake Long was another guy, got hurt, career short. But, at the end of the day, we drafted him. He played well at left tackle.
He's elite.
But he was supposed to be he was going to be an all-world Anthony Munoz type right tackle.
Yeah.
And he was a very good left tackle, but, man, he got hurt quick.
Yeah. And he stayed hurt pretty much,
Yeah. Yeah. And then
Shout
he ended up being a Ram. Remember that?
Yeah. Shout out to the finisher. He says, my son was just born, the newest Dolphin fan. Shout out to the finisher. Man. I sat with him last year for one of the training camp practices. So shout out to you, homie. I hope you're doing well.
Man. Congrats.
Congratulations to you. Welcome. We were just talking about the woes of parenting earlier before we went live. But let's stick with football and the Dolphins here for a sec. We just watched Sam Darnold. Okay. We watched the New York Jets didn't properly surround him. The New York Jets moved off him for another bust in Zach Wilson. Okay. He went to Carolina. They moved off of him. All right. He bounced around a little bit. We now know Kevin O'Connell fought for him to stay in Minnesota, but the GM won there, made them take JJ McCarthy. Now, coincidentally enough, when Sam Darnold goes to the Super Bowl, the GM in Minnesota is out and Kevin O'Connell has more power because he was right. But, is Sam Darnold and the success he's having right now, is this kind of a cautionary tale for a situation like Tua and the Dolphins right now, given that we have seen Tua play at a high level in 2023 when he was surrounded in the right environment by the right weapons and the right coaching staff? We've seen that success. Now, was it to the level with Sam Darnold? Of course not. But are we in the air? Is this a cautionary tale where we might be giving up too soon on Tua? Or do you think that we have given Tua enough of a chance to see what he is? And he might hit somewhere in the NFL, but it's just not going to be here.
Yeah, look, I think there's some parallels to the situation, but some very big differences, right? Like from a draft compensation, both of us invested the top 5 picks on those players. The Jets never invested the contract. We invested the big contract on Tua. I don't think Sam Darnold ever physically was breaking down to the extent that Tua was. And frankly, I think that Sam Darnold exudes very good mental toughness, and I think Tua's pretty weak and fragile when it comes to his mindset. Like, I think the things that a lot of professionals have to deal with when you're not playing well really hurt Tua, and he has no fear of putting that out in the media. As much as Sam Darnold was hit, and pushed down and knocked down, I feel like he really approached it a lot, right? Like that whole seeing ghost things on TV, like how that could have derailed him. And then he goes to, bad stop in Carolina, bad stop in San Francisco, but then really seizes his moment in Minnesota. And at that point, he probably thinks like, I know they just drafted this guy, JJ McCarthy, but I just led this team to 13, 14 wins. Like, there's no way they're going to move on from me. And they move on from him. And he's an afterthought in Seattle. And as soon as he signs in Seattle, what do? They go out and draft Jalen Milroe, right? And here you go again. But Sam Darnold had an amazing season. And you don't get that version of Sam Darnold if he doesn't overcome all the adversity that happened there. I think that Tua's best season in football was 2023. I don't think he ever gets close to that again. I think a lot of that to do is the injury history and, some of those long-term ramifications of those injuries rearing its head. But I also think that we saw a very mentally weak Tua this year. So physically and mentally. And I think a team like the Colts would make a lot of sense depending on what happens with Daniel Jones. I think a team like Minnesota could make some sense. I know the Rams are popular, but Stafford's coming back after that year, and Stafford's as good as he's ever been. I just think Tua's doesn't have the makeup to do it. And one of the main reasons I say that, man, is I think that I'm not going to say we had a great offensive line during his tenure here, but I think he had a lot of strong things in the weapons surrounding him. And like this football is a game that the best players know how to win and when it's the ugliest. And I just never saw that from Tua here consistently. So I don't think we have that, but I think it's a fair parallel to draw. I think what Sam Darnold did is really hard to do when you're a young quarterback, got kicked to the curb. And you know, we've seen Baker Mayfield be able to kind of do it where, you know, he was playing practice squad end for the Rams and Panthers. Then he gets his chance, and, you know, maybe he didn't get the Super Bowl win, but I think he's emerged as a potential top 10 quarterback in Tampa Bay. But it's kind of crazy when you look at it. Sam Darnold is the first of that class with Mayfield, Lamar, Josh Allen to go out there and win a Super Bowl. So you got to give Sam Darnold his kudos. But I don't think this is one of the things that the Tua situation is going to bite the Dolphins down the road. And I think sometimes a clean break is needed for both sides. Like, I'm not going to actively root against Tua Tagovailoa. I'd actually like to see him go to an NFC team and have success. But I would be lying to you if I said the way he conducted business over the last 6 months, if I didn't say I lost some professional respect for him, I'd be lying to you. I do not like what Tua did down the stretch. I don't like a lot of the quotes that he puts out there. I don't think it would be dope if he went and played on another team. When a team just paid you the biggest contract in franchise history, you failed. To go up on a mic and tell him it would be dope to go somewhere else, to me, just shows a lack of maturity. And that's one of the main reasons. I just don't think Tua mentally could do what Sam Darnold can do.
Yeah, I think Darnold's more physically gifted as well. You
right.
know? I mean,
I like Sam Darnold a lot coming out of USC. So yeah.
Oh 100%. Man, I talk about this pro day all the time privately. Like, one of the best pro days I ever saw, that USC pro day where he's just dropping dimes in the rain.
Oh,
I don't know if you remember. It was raining and he was just like slinging it, and I was like, holy geez. Yeah, I think he's more physically gifted. I think you know, and I think honestly, I think his journey matured him. Now maybe Tua's the journey that he's staring down the barrel of will mature him, you know, and the stuff you were just talking about how you didn't like, you know, maybe that'll get worked out of him. But yeah,
you know what the real lesson is? The real lesson is what we've seen is that environment matters. Sam Darnold didn't have a chance with the New York Jets. Environment matters. The culture. So culture, right, is this made up word that we all throw around about stuff, right? But culture is an environment where people learn to work together, you know, and people that come from various backgrounds to go try to fight and reach a common goal, right? Like, if you come to a broken culture that doesn't know how to win, you got, you know, your offensive line breaking Geno Smith's face, right? Like, all that type of stuff that happened there. Like, you're walking into an environment that does not breed success. In the NFL, there's 32 companies that are, you know, and the ones that are really good at what they do, it's hard to beat those, right? That's why, like, the Chiefs, the Ravens, the Eagles, Seattle now, right? Like, these teams are up at the top of the league year after year, and they're contenders. And it's because the good teams stay really good and the bad teams stay really bad. And that's where, like, if anything for the Dolphins, more so than anything will show up on the scoreboard this year, you want to see an environment that is way different than anything we've sniffed for a while. We laugh and say it's Green Bay South. In our wildest dreams, the best case scenario could be that this becomes Green Bay South. If this becomes Green Bay South, the Sully hire and the Hafley hire are home runs, because what the Dolphins need more than coaching, more than players, more than anything that has haunted them has been a successful football culture. And, you know, I think it's one of those words like elite, generational, that's overblown. But as Dolphin fans, no team has experienced a culture hurt their franchise probably more than Miami in the last 20 years. So, like, it's very important that you see quarterbacks fail. Baker, same thing with him in Cleveland, right? Like, he was the most success they had out of a young quarterback in years. And as soon as Deshaun Watson was flaunted in front of them, they got rid of him. Like, environment matters so much for young quarterbacks coming out. And I just hope that we're starting the foundation of building a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, man, listen, I've said this before. I wanted a someone that's going to come in here and, institute certain things. And when it comes to building the foundation for this franchise moving forward, a blueprint, if you will, that future GMs and coaching staffs can refer back to and scouts can refer back to. And really it all starts in the trenches, and
it does.
That's what we also learned, from Seattle as well. I mean, let's be honest here. A lot of that, I mean, that was a theme in the Super Bowl, really. I mean, Milton Williams, interior guy, getting pressure. You look at, on the flip side, the guys that were getting pressure for Seattle.
Leonard Williams, Byron Murphy.
Yep.
Derek Hall.
Exactly.
Derek Hall was spectacular.
So, and on the flip side, we also learned the difference between having an offensive line and trenches on both sides are basically the theme of that, because we had one offensive line that could hold itself up in Seattle, and the other offensive line with that left side with Jared Wilson and Will Campbell, they couldn't handle anything that was getting thrown to them by Mike McDonald and that Seattle front. So, and it was really a tale of, two stories with Sam Darnold. You go look at how he was with the Jets and terrible protection, and to the point, remember the memes of him seeing ghosts, to now look at the protection he's behind in the Super Bowl, while his opponent, the protection is wavering, and Drake May's seeing ghosts, Neil.
Right. It's true, man.
So,
good, but good for Sam Darnold. It is a great story. And I think what he said after the game, like having faith in himself, his family, like that, dude, that has to be true. Like to be kicked to the curb when you're the number 3 overall pick, to like thinking that you might not even belong in the league, but then to come and rise and win the Super Bowl. And like, look, I thought the Rams were better than them, but they beat them every single time it mattered, right? Like, what the Seattle did this year. And I think the beauty of it is, if we need low-hanging fruit as a Dolphin fan to get excited about the future, if you string a couple good drafts around and you find a good coach that knows how to attack other teams, and both coaches in the Super Bowl were defensive-minded, defensive-first coaches, like, I will say that, like, it takes a little bit of patience. They're not going to be a Super Bowl contender next year, but I really, truly believe that sometimes you got to take a step back and move 2 steps forward, and I think that's what the Dolphins are going to do this year. I think you might lose some of the players you like Bradley Chubb. He earned a lot of my respect this year, man. I thought he was a tremendous leader. I think he kept the ship together when it looked like it was over. They went on that run. He was very productive. But I don't think Bradley Chubb is going to matter in 3 years here. So if you could get a draft pick for him, good. If you have to release him, good. But we're going to take a step back. But we're going to be a better team in the long run.
Look at both those teams in the Super Bowl. It just wasn't the Seahawks. New England, they had a good draft last year because they found their franchise quarterback. They Robert Kraft, say what you want about him and Masseuses, but at least he had the foresight to say, I don't have the right guy in charge right now with Gerard Mayo, fired him, brought in Vrabel, and convinced Vrabel, hey, let's bring back Josh McDaniels for his 3rd stint here. Let's let him get Drake May right. They had another strong draft. So they had 2 drafts, found their coach, found their franchise quarterback, and they're right back there. And then to your point with the Seahawks have been drafting well since basically 2021 here. And look at what and now look at what they've done. And what's really positive for Dolphin fans to take away from the Super Bowl too is, correct me if I'm wrong, but weren't both the GMs of the Patriots and the Seahawks former Packers scouts?
Yeah, man. Look, it's a big crossroads for the Dolphins, and I hope they got it right. But Seattle winning this time should show us that it doesn't have to be 10 years of misery to be relevant again. If your team does the right moves, drafts, develops, has a plan, you can turn the ship around pretty quickly in today's NFL. And while this season they might not have a lot of cap space, it looks very, very opportunistic. Next year, I mean, they're going to be around over $100 million plus after they get out of some of these contracts. Like it can turn around very quick, and it starts with a good draft here in 2026. And that's why I think, over the next couple months, we're 74 days away. You're going to hear a lot of draft talk from us because I think we both realize how important to set the tone for your draft strategy as a new regime it is. That pick 11 is, to me, like an experienced team having the first pick in the draft. You got to know what you need. You got to know what the foundation is going to be. Our last regime's foundational pick was it was Christian Wilkins, if I'm not mistaken, right? And it was a good pick at the time, but I'm really excited to see what their strategy is because I think we're going to learn a lot about what our drafts are going to look like in the future here. But man, we can look at the glass half empty and complain about what we don't have, how bad the old regime was, how bad the Tua contract is. For me, man, it's time to move on past a lot of that. Look at the glass; it's kind of half full, and say, "Great new regime. Let's see what kind of groceries they're going to go buy at the store."
Yeah, I also think though, I think a lot of fans, because of what they've been through, I think we're gonna have an even shorter fuse with this new regime now, right?
And media is different, right? Media is different. It's all in your face. Washington Post just closed our sports section here. It's crazy, man. It's instant gratification. I will just say this: how people fan is up to them, and you can't tell a Dolphin fan to be patient. We've been more than patient. 25 years without a playoff win, but you can't put previous ownership or regimes' failures on new regimes. You just can't do that, man. It's different players. You got to give them a clean slate and let them operate. And you got to realize that what they're walking into from a salary cap situation, from a roster situation, is daunting. And it's going to take more than 1 year and a snap of the fingers just for everything to be okay.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay. That's honestly reason it's one of my favorite parts about our show is when we go through these to talk about the strategies, to talk about the prospects, to talk about the free agents, talk about the contracts, because it's new life. It's new life. What happened previously failed. We know that. You and I both wanted this team to win. We predicted playoff wins. It didn't happen. It's frustrating when your team doesn't accomplish probably what their talent should have let them do. But one of my favorite parts about doing this with you is being able to talk through that and talk about not what's wrong, but how we can fix it.
I'm sitting there watching the Super Bowl. Okay.
Right.
And it's not even about playoff wins anymore. I'm watching these two teams. How many times since we've been to the playoffs have I had to watch these teams go to the Super Bowl? I mean,
right.
I've watched Seattle go with Hasselbeck, Russell Wilson, and now Sam Darnold. I watched. It's been so long. I watched the Patriots go how many times with Brady to now they're going with Drake May.
Right.
These guys together combined have been to the Super Bowl a baker's dozen times, and we haven't even won a playoff game. That's right. That's the most disheartening thing is I'm watching. Never mind a playoff win. These guys got more than 12 Super Bowl appearances, and if I go to the 90s, it's even more because the Patriots went to the Super Bowl in the 90s too.
Right. Oh, dude, I live in a town where the team that came here in 1996 has won 2 Super Bowls since we last won a playoff, and they're in the playoffs almost every damn year. Probably have the best GM the league's ever seen. It's brutal, man, because I get to see my friends and my peers and not to sit there and say, I root against their happiness, but it freaking sucks when your friends to you don't even really include you in the conversation because your franchise is such a laughingstock and hasn't won a playoff game. And I when we beat them in that game in Baltimore, that was the first time where people are damn, this Dolphins team might be different.
Yeah.
But we all know that was so short-lived now in retrospect.
Yeah, listen, if Tua didn't get hurt in 2022, we beat the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. The monkey's off our back, and we're probably sitting here talking about a total different a total different situation. Jobs aren't lost. 2023, they probably actually finished the season out strong because they would have had their first playoff win in 2022, so they would have learned how to win. We'd be sitting here in a, like, I wish Sliders was a real thing. I don't know if people remember that show, but I wish Sliders was a real thing so I could go to that alternate dimension. But anyways, listen, we're going to get out of here. We'll be back next week. Me and Neil, we'll be talking combine heavy next week. So you're going to want to be locked in next Tuesday. It'll be the day before my birthday as well. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday. All right. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new. And I will catch each and every one of you on the next episode. Until then, you don't know what time it is. Fins up all day, every day. And we'll see you all in the next one. Fins up, everyone.